You feel it even when you pretend you don't. A pressure behind your ribs that never stops tightening. An invisible countdown ticking beneath every choice you delay. A quiet terror that you're losing time without realizing it. It follows you in silence through every night you waste and every day you escape. You try not to look at it, not to think about it, not to hear its footsteps. But deep down you know something inside you is running out. Imagine standing inside a submerged observatory where the ocean crushes the glass like a warning. The darkness outside is endless, pressing against the world with ancient patience. Every vibration feels like the heartbeat of something older than fear. There's no noise, no escape, no distraction. Only you and the truth you avoid. This is where Caleb stands, surrounded by blue-black silence. Not as a warrior, not as a sage, just as someone tired of lying to himself. Someone ready to face what most people never dare to see. Epictetus said, "Keep death and exile before your eyes every day, not to become dark, but to become real. Not to collapse into despair, but to rise into clarity." Serious thoughts don't destroy you. They strip away everything that weakens you. But you avoid them because you fear their weight. Caleb has stopped avoiding them, and the ocean around him reacts like a living mirror. Here, he will learn what a mind becomes when it stops running. Tonight you will follow him into this crushing silence beneath the sea. You will watch the world press against the glass until nothing false survives. You will face the thoughts you keep buried, the truth you keep postponing. And as the observatory trembles, you will see what emerges when fear dissolves. This journey is not comfortable, it is cleansing. It is the path for those who are tired of wasting the life they have. And when you return to the surface, you won't be the same person who entered. The underwater observatory groans like an ancient creature, remembering its own bones. Caleb steps inside, and the metal beneath his feet vibrates with slow, exhausted breaths. The curved glass walls surround him like the ribs of a giant buried in the sea. Outside, the ocean presses forward with endless darkness and pale drifting lights. Everything feels indifferent, patient, watching without eyes. He knows he has come here to face the truth he avoided his entire life. Death waiting in the quiet like a thought he finally dares to touch. A thin glow passes outside the glass, illuminating particles suspended like frozen time. Caleb watches the shape drift, slow, soft, unaware of his existence. He realizes how many small thoughts have ruled him: envy, resentment, insecurity. Thoughts that shrink the soul, making everything feel tight and suffocating. When you avoid death, your mind invents new fears to replace it. But here, where the abyss is close enough to touch, those fears evaporate. Caleb feels old anxieties cracking apart like shells under pressure. He remembers every moment wasted trying to impress people who barely saw him. Every hour spent polishing an image instead of building a life. Every argument fueled by pride, every silence born from fear. Placed next to mortality, these obsessions turn to dust. He presses his hand against the cold glass, feeling the ocean's patience. Serious thoughts do not weigh him down. They clean him. They remove the noise he once called living. A tremor moves through the observatory like a low growl from the deep. Caleb stands motionless, letting the vibrations settle into him. This is the first vision. Remembering the end makes your mind sharp, not hopeless, precise. The ocean outside becomes a mirror of what he must become, calm and deep. He feels smaller, but stronger in a way that has no violence. He walks forward, pulled toward the next truth like a tide. The corridor ahead tightens, lit only by rusted emergency lights that flicker like dying stars. The deeper he goes, the stronger the pressure becomes, not painful, just undeniable. It feels like the ocean is forcing him to confront something more personal than death. Exile, the truth that everything he relies on can be ripped away in an instant. Comfort, identity, reputation, all temporary skins. Caleb exhales, stepping further into this narrowing throat of metal. He stops before a warped pane of glass bending inward under impossible force. His reflection is distorted, stretched by pressure he cannot escape. Exile does that to you. It twists your sense of self until only the essential remains. He imagines losing everything familiar, routines, safety, the illusion of belonging. Not as catastrophe, but as purification. Life removes what you cling to, not to punish you, but to reveal you. Caleb finally understands this. A thin crack snakes upward from the base of the glass like a hesitant thought. Caleb doesn't flinch. He watches the crack grow a little, then stop, responding to his calm. He remembers all the times he held on to what hurt him, simply because it was known. People who drained him, roles that suffocated him. Exile is not being thrown out. It is being returned to yourself. The observatory emits a deep hum, steady and almost warm. It feels like acknowledgement, as if the ocean approves of his understanding. This is the second vision. Nothing belongs to you, and that truth can free you. Losing is not failure. It is transformation. Stability is nice, but clarity is better. Caleb walks onward without fear of what might be taken next. Only awareness of what cannot be. The next chamber opens into a vast dome of glass, curved like the inside of a lantern. Red lights pulse across the floor in slow, failing heartbeats. Outside, the ocean has turned to ink, disturbed only by the outline of something huge. A presence glides nearby, so large it shifts the water like a moving mountain. Caleb feels the gravity of it in his chest. This room is where illusions die, where the truth becomes too big to ignore. The creature moves again, brushing the glass with a vibration that travels into his bones. He steps closer, and his reflection merges with the moving shadow. For a moment, he cannot tell where he ends and the darkness begins. This merging is what serious thinking does. It forces you to see without filters, without fantasies to protect you. You become part of the truth instead of hiding from it. Caleb lets himself dissolve into this clarity. He remembers nights spent drowning in imagined disasters, arguments rehearsed in silence, scenarios that never happened but still shaped his choices. All illusions created to avoid the real fear, mortality. Now that he stands face to face with the unknown, those illusions crumble instantly. Fear evaporates when the truth is finally allowed in. Caleb's breathing synchronizes with the shifting water outside. The great shadow moves away, fading into the endless dark. Its departure feels like a curtain being drawn. Caleb touches the cold glass and feels calm seep into him like warmth spreading through stone. This is the third vision. A mind stops lying when it stops running. Truth becomes quieter but sharper. He turns toward the next door with a steadiness he never had before. There is one more truth waiting. The final chamber seals around him like a hollow sphere suspended in the sea. There's almost no floor, only metal supports beneath his feet. The ocean surrounds him completely, pressing from all sides. Here, silence feels alive, heavier than sound. This is the place where desire reveals itself. The place where he must confront not what he wants, but why he wants it. Caleb stands still, letting the darkness settle around him. A crack fractures the glass with crisp, delicate motion. Another intersects it like a star collapsing in slow motion. Caleb watches the lines grow with the patience of someone who understands endings. He realizes excessive desire comes from forgetting limits. You cling harder when you pretend life is infinite. You demand more when you imagine time is generous. But the ocean reminds him, time is not generous. He thinks of all he ever wanted too desperately. Validation, control, guarantees. Each desire was a rejection of mortality, a refusal to accept impermanence. Now, with the ocean pressing gently, those desires break open like brittle stone. The cracks in the glass stop moving, as if acknowledging his surrender. Caleb relaxes for the first time. This is the fourth vision. When you accept the end, desire becomes clean. You no longer chase what weakens you. You no longer bargain with reality. Your wants become simple, grounded, human. The chamber glows gently, washed in soft blue light. Caleb steps out of the sphere with a new kind of quiet, a quiet that feels like strength. The observatory now feels lighter, almost breathing with him. The cracks in the glass shine like silver veins holding the structure together. The water outside pulses rhythmically, mirroring his heartbeat. Inside him, the four visions align like planets falling into their rightful orbit. Death clears the mind. Exile clears the identity. Truth clears illusion. Acceptance clears desire. Caleb walks with slow, deliberate steps, as if adjusting to a new gravity. The corridor hums softly, no longer threatening but supportive. He realizes how different life feels when the mind is not cluttered. Every emotion simplifies. Every thought sharpens. Every breath feels earned instead of borrowed. The ocean outside becomes a companion rather than an enemy. He imagines how differently he will live after leaving this place. How calmly he will handle conflict. How lightly he will carry disappointment. How little he will need to feel whole. This is the power of serious thought. It removes excess. It removes self-deception. It returns you to yourself. The light outside brightens as bioluminescent creatures gather again. They swirl in coordinated motion, illuminating the hall in shifting blue fire. It feels like a silent ceremony, a quiet recognition of transformation. Caleb stops to watch them, absorbing the beauty without needing to possess it. When the glow fades, he steps through the final doorway. Only one silence remains, the deepest one. He enters a small chamber with no lights of its own. Only the dim glow of drifting organisms illuminates the space. The walls curve inward, womb-like, protective yet suffocating. The window ahead reveals nothing but pitch-black water. The darkness feels thick, almost tactile, like cloth wrapped over the world. Caleb stands still, letting it swallow every distraction. Silence becomes a presence rather than an absence. Far in the abyss, a tiny light appears. Fragile, distant, almost apologetic. It pulses faintly, like a fading memory. Caleb feels something rise inside him. Recognition. This light is the truth he always sensed, but never looked at directly. The truth of limited time. The truth he spent years running from. The light goes out. Immediately, the chamber shakes violently under a wave of pressure. The floor vibrates, the metal groans, the glass trembles. But Caleb does not move. This is the trial. Can you stay calm when confronted with what terrifies you? He lets the fear wash through him without resistance. Within seconds, the pressure stops as if bowing. The water settles, regaining its slow, serene rhythm. The glow outside returns, softer and cleaner. Caleb opens his eyes with a sense of deep release. He knows now that fear only controls the mind that refuses to look at truth. He understands why Epictetus insisted on daily remembrance. He feels ready. One final revelation awaits. The final chamber expands before him like a silent cathedral of glass. The water outside glows with deep sapphire and fractured gold. Dozens of luminous creatures swirl in slow spirals like stars drifting through liquid space. Caleb steps into the center, overwhelmed yet calm. This room feels sacred, untouched by time. Everything false inside him falls away. Everything real rises like a tide. He breathes slowly, and the ocean responds, pulsing in perfect rhythm. The glass vibrates with an almost musical resonance. Here, the world mirrors the state of his mind. No chaos, no fog, just quiet truth shining through the dark. This is what serious thought creates, alignment. Caleb raises his hand toward the glass. A pulse of blue light flashes through the entire ocean around him. It feels like acknowledgement, like a final seal. He senses the four visions anchoring themselves inside his chest. Clarity replaces confusion. Courage replaces avoidance. Life replaces delay. The final wave of light fades gently. Caleb steps back, lighter than he has ever felt. Not because he escaped suffering, but because he understood it. The door behind him opens without sound. He walks through it with the calm of someone reborn. He is ready to rise to the surface, ready to live with serious thoughts. When Caleb emerges from the depths, the world above looks unchanged. But inside him, a new structure has formed, solid, unshakable. That's what happens when you stop avoiding the truth. Serious thoughts do not darken life, they refine it. They reveal what matters and strip away the noise you mistook for living. Every breath feels different now. Every moment feels earned. You're running out of time, and that is your greatest advantage. Because when you understand the end, the beginning becomes powerful. You stop begging for validation. You stop drowning in petty emotions. You stop letting people control your peace. you become harder to manipulate, harder to break. You become someone anchored in reality. So ask yourself here and now, what truth have you avoided because you feared its weight? What desire has been poisoning your clarity? What illusion has been guiding your decisions? You don't need more time, you need more honesty. Look at the end without panic. Let it shape the life you still have. If this descent into the abyss resonated with you, stay close. Another message waits in the darkness, deeper, sharper, necessary. Watch the next episode slowly, in silence. Let it settle into you the way the ocean settled around Caleb. Let it shape your strength. Let it refine your mind. The journey is far from over.